Hello, lovelies. Good morning. Let's just take a breath in this space. Find our calibration, find our equilibrium, find our root. I was musing this morning because it's something I do. And this big voice kind of came in and said, there's truths that we're not speaking in healing. And if we don't start speaking them now, we're not going to move forward collectively. For me, healing is not just about one person's move forward. It's a collective shift. Exhausted, inflamed, ill, chronically ill women, we don't get to be sparks in the world because we're so busy trying to manage one small step, this moment, that moment. We don't get to expand if we're stuck, if we're sick. And one of the things that came through this morning was a truth that's not being said is women can be overweight and healthy, but they cannot be exhausted and healthy. Exhaustion is a state where the body is speaking forward that it doesn't have the vital force. It doesn't have the chi. And over the years, I have seen so many women who have been told by doctors when they present and they're like, I'm exhausted and my joints hurt and I have headaches and I'm not sleeping. And if they carried any extra weight, the doctor's like, well, you need to lose weight first. They get dismissed. The thing is that the cells were speaking in their symptoms and the doctor ignored them because they were looking only at one parameter of a person. And I have found over and over and over that then women go chase this outcome. They go chase this number on the scale and they negate their cells because someone told them that if you pay attention to that first, then the body will shift. And I'm here to tell you that most of the time that's not true. And it's ruining women's health. The reality is that exhausted cells are exhausted cells. The reality is that if our cells can't keep up with our life and the terrain around them is sticky and gunky and not communicating and our cells aren't using thyroid hormone, you guys, it's a setup for outcomes that no one ever wants. But we go chasing one outcome. We go beating down one path and our cells get more tired because we keep telling our body, no, I want you to divert your attention from healing and I want you to focus on this one outcome. And the body's going, don't you get it? That's part of the picture. Help me solve the root. Our body's always talking to us. Symptoms are the way our body gives us a conversation about where it needs attention. And we have been taught to gloss past the symptoms and go with something physically obvious. In med school, they don't talk to you about cells. I went to naturopathic medical school. They didn't talk to us about cell energy. We talked about it in some ways in Chinese medicine, but they didn't have big conversations with us about cell energy and the way that vitality plays out and how it relates to the terrain space. I had to learn that in practice when I watched the methods not work. Because the model says we pay attention to certain data points and not others. And the model says that tiredness is just so common that we should all just learn to deal with it. It's not true. It's not true. There is no reality where we have to accept being exhausted or having thyroid problems or developing Hashimoto's or other autoimmune diseases or mystery syndromes and call it normal. That's not the way it goes. We live in a miracle. Our bodies are more dynamic than we are ever taught. Our bodies listen. I see it all the time. Just this week, I have had things happen with clients that do border on miraculous. But it was just following the connection and listening to the language of the body and listening to the cells and listening to the terrain and taking actions that honored that voice. I want you to start believing in the miraculous nature of your body. I want you to start believing in the capacity for your body to change. I want you to start believing in what your body's saying to you and feel like you have the capacity to take it seriously. I want you to stop chasing the number on a scale ahead of how you feel day to day. I want you to start understanding that what you're feeling does not need to be dismissed. And that any doctor who has dismissed it or told you that they wanted you to focus on something else and that was just how life goes, that they just didn't understand healing, and that's okay. We bless them, we release them, we walk forward. To me, we are at a pivotal moment in history. We need women in their power. We need women in their greatness. We need women in their health. We need women holding, to be able to plant their feet in the ground and hold their positions. We need them to tell their stories. We need them to pass on their wisdom. We need them to set a tone for life that includes this magnificence of life. We need women. And what I see, because I talk to hundreds of women, is that so many are suffering. And we're calling the suffering normal. And we have to stop. If you're over 40, you can feel vital. If you're over 50, you can feel vital. If you're over 60, you can feel vital. If you're over 70, you can feel vital. There is no limit to the capacity. Stop believing those stories. They're just stories. The problem is that we hear the stories and we take on the evidence, and then we look around and we see our friends suffering and we see our family history and we see the news and we suddenly go, I guess that's normal. It's not. It's not. If your body is speaking to you, it's speaking to you because it knows that the change is in potential. If she's saying to you, hey, pay attention, we've got inflammation, she's saying that because she wants you to connect. If she's saying, hey, I don't have any life force left, can you help me out? It's because she knows that cultivation is always an option. If you have a diagnosis, I encourage you to say to yourself, yes, I understand what Google says about this diagnosis, but I also understand that the capacity for change is limitless, and so I'm going to take action anyway. We need to stop accepting limited definitions for who we are. We need to stop accepting other people's limitations for the definition of our life. We need to start expanding. We need to start trusting ourselves. We need to start trusting our body. We need to start acting as a person who trusts her body and is going to partner with it no matter what. Because that's the magic. Because that's where healing becomes possible even when others have said it's not. Because that's where vital force is cultivated. Because that's where the organs hear a new possibility. That's where your cells go, oh, wait, that's different. Our body will remember. You're born with a template for infinite capacity. The myth is that that leaves you as you age. It's a myth. It's not true. At any moment, we can re-inspire the information in the body to take hold and move into action if we understand how to use language to partner with her. Any moment. I'm here to tell you, because the voice came through this morning, that this is true for you. But what we have to do is we have to decide. Because this is not I'm going to imagine it while I sit on my couch and see myself healthy, and that's what I need to do. This is if I'm a person who has a body that can heal no matter what, how does that person choose her next step? What does she say to herself next? What is she going to do? Who is that woman that captures her vitality, that recultivates it? How does she think? How does she act? What does she do next? That's the persona to step into. And then move yourself forward. This requires trust, and I get it. And so I'm offering 2 days of a conversation on trust this month. And for those of you who've been needing this, it has the potential to open the doors that you've been looking to have opened. So I invite you to make that a priority for you. It's the 15th and 16th. It's free. And it is one of the master keys in healing that the women that work with me in Thriving Health get a lot of conversation around, but I've never brought it out into a place where other women can partake in that conversation. I love that, Rhonda. I just had this conversation with a woman. I'm not my diagnosis. I'm loving and healing my body at every level. Yes, I love you too. We are not our diagnoses. Get off Google. I don't think it's doing anyone any favors. Get off Google. Google doesn't know you. Google knows some things that someone wrote in a book that they defined the terms. Do you know how many women I've had come say, well, but I have, I don't have a thyroid, so it's always going to be this way. Bullshit. Bullshit. Well, I got diagnosed with chronic Lyme, so there's a limitation on what can happen. Bullshit. Well, I have a family history of diabetes, so bullshit. Stop believing other people's stories. And if you want to believe someone's story, then find someone who's going to tell you a story that includes your vitality. Choose your story. Stop being limited by other people's limited confines of what life can look like. You may have family members. Well, you do have that thing. So what? Well, you may not be able to heal because of X, Y, and Z. So what? If someone's telling you a story that includes your incapacity to move forward, then you just simply say, I appreciate your input, but that's just not the story. I'm going to walk out. Love them and bless them. They can have their story. You're not here to make them change their mind. Right, Rhonda? I don't have a thyroid and I'm healing. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't have to mean anything. It's possible. It's not easy. I'm not going to say that anyone who works with me who has challenging issues that they come in with just kind of uses a magic wand and sits back and hugs themselves and it's all better. But I can say that the growth that happens from moving out of those states does things in your life that you couldn't have imagined, and your body heals. You're here for something bigger. The things that are important to you, being yourself, being a mother, being a grandmother, being a wife, being the person who has whatever career or passion you have, maybe being an artist, being a member of your community, those things need you in them. If you're showing up as half of you or a quarter of you because the limitations of your physical body mean that you don't have it, the world is suffering. You heal for you. You heal for those you love, and you heal for the world. But it starts with you first. Claim you. That's the deciding. I claim me. No matter what. If you want to deepen this conversation, come join us in Trust. I'll put the link under the video. It's time we shifted the parameters of how we have these conversations about our body, because it's not being done and because it's not in the supplements and the stuff, you guys. We need those elements, but if the relationship isn't established, it's so small. Let's build a bigger context. I invite you to play. Have a blessed day. See what happens if you walk forward in today and go, that's it. I'm choosing a different context. See what that woman does next. We have Trust the 15th and 16th. I offer free 30-minute one-to-one sessions for those who want to talk about moving forward. If you want to know what your cells are doing and understand what your body has been saying, so that you can take your body seriously and move forward, the cell health assessment will be the first step. And I can put those links below. You're beautiful. I love you. You're whole right now. You're worthy right now. Today's the day. Now's the time. Blessings.